went straight into the military after high school. Afghanistan, Iraq, then went to Carolina, then went back to law school. So it's kind of the same situation. Went a while afterwards.
That's deep.
John's just straight throwing me in this.
Yeah. Hey man, so listen, bro.
Good to go.
We were in the parking lot playing with our kids.
Yep.
And he was like, John. I'm like, Ty, what's good? You know how we do, man.
Yeah.
We go at the Beaver High days. Shout out to Miss Harms, the best English teacher ever.
Class of 03.
Class of 03, baby. While we were talking, bro, we started mingling and we were like, yo, this daddy stuff is deep.
Oh yeah.
And you said something that it just did something. It sent some little bells off in my head. You said, it's crazy, but I wish they had like dads for dummies or dadding for dummies.
Oh yeah.
When our kids were on the way.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, bruh, that might be something.
Same situation.
So we here today.
Oh yeah.
So we here today, bruh.
Oh yeah. My brother just had a baby last week, and same situation. You know, you get all these magazines, you get all the literature, you can watch, you look at YouTube videos, Netflix, there's just nothing out there where you feel comfortable with, hey, I'm prepared for this, because nobody's prepared for it, man. It's exhausting.
No,
it's the roughest thing I've ever done.
There's no two kids alike.
Okay.
There's no two family dynamics alike. There's no two fathering dynamics alike. So a lot of the skills that you need, they're not like specific what to do, but more like how do you think about it? How do you approach, or what may encounter, with this kid coming up? What's some good resources to have? What's some good tools to have in your handyman dad, notebook that you can pull out and say, all right, I can kind of work with this problem, this kid, this issue.
That makes so much sense, because a lot of us, even being strong-willed kind of guy, even being educated kind of guy, even being a man's man kind of guy, an athlete, you may be able to attack and succeed in other arenas, but parenting or being a father could be difficult. So it's not about how big the man, how small the man. It's about the fact that we're here to help. We need to be here to help each other, because your mom can't necessarily show you how to be. She might help you with parenting, but she can't show you how to be a dad. Being a dad is a special thing. Like, can you remember what it was like when you were in preparation for your first child?
Oh, me and my wife, Lucia, who I love dearly.
Shout out to Lucia.
Yeah, my whole world, man. The hardest part was the names. We just, you butt head with the names on, right off the bat. It's like,
you actually you took that war on?
Oh man, we're looking up like, kids' names, Irish names. Right. Oh, that name, no, I didn't like her in high school. We're not doing that. Or no, I didn't like that guy. Right. So the name thing was the hardest thing before the kid even gets here.
Man,
your son ended up named Thomas O'Malley.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, listen, and nobody
double Irish.
Nobody would even think. But listen, names can actually cause issues.
Big time.
Like that might even make you say,
a name
I don't want to have a baby with you no more, because you don't want to name him after me.
Oh yeah.
And dudes, we have a thing with that. How y'all feel about that? Naming your children after you. Is that something you?
If I could, all my kids would be named Willie in succession.
Oh yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Hey,
George.
Did you name your boy after you?
So I'm a junior, but I wasn't gonna have a third. I'm Michael Tyus O'Farrell Jr.
Right.
And just because I go by Ty, nobody knows my legal name's Tyus. But man, it's such a problem growing up having a legal name Michael, but then having to tell everybody Ty. So I was like, we're not doing that. So we just did straight names. Maisie's my 5-year-old, my daughter, and then Jack's my 2-year-old.
Okay.
So, and then the name situation, my mom's name's Fleetwood, and of course she was trying to intervene Fleetwood in there somehow, and we weren't having any of that.
What?
Sorry, Mom.
Wow. My mom was coming with all types of stuff.
Well, they want to pass down.
Mom, I love you, but I can't do it. I can't name a baby.
Speaking of that, can mom sometimes be a wrench in the parenting father mechanism?
Man, you about to tap on some taboo
there.
Yeah.
Good and bad, man.
Right.
My mom and my mother-in-law have been a huge help in that.
Right.
As long as they understand space. A lot of times parents want to hover and be helicopter parents, and the problem with that is some people like that, but at the same time, this is the first time in your entire life where you're a true family, and you want to have that sense of family. So I think that's so important, as long as there's a balance, and communication's key with that. I think a lot of people are hesitant to tell their mom or their dad, hey, back up a little bit, but as long as you communicate and realize what you're doing, then you're kind of in a good situation.
Helicopter parents, that's a phrase that that's a term I'm going to use, that's a term we all need to remember. Helicopter parents. Your parents should not be hovering over the decisions you're making as a parent. My mom used to say something, she still says it now. She said she had to tell her mom, with all due respect, what works for you doesn't work for me.
Yep.
You know, and that's a good way to tell your parents, if they're a little bit too involved in how you raise your children, what works for you might not work for me.
1,000 ways to skin a cat.
But yeah, back to the first time father experience.
Oh man, I'll give y'all a story. So when Maisie was being born, we were renovating a house,
Okay.
which was a whole issue of itself. So
During a pregnancy, renovating the house.
Yep, and so the house wasn't done yet, and Maisie came. So we were in a rental house, you know, living, and the baby came. So just the tension with not being in your home, not being ready to go was a whole thing. And Maisie was a terrible sleeper, man, absolutely terrible. You know, cried through the night. We do everything possible. And it was the first time in my life I walked downstairs and I felt like I was just about to have a mental breakdown.
Dang,
I mean,
bro.
I was just so exhausted. I told Lucia, I said, I love you, but I'm going for a run. And I pulled a Forrest Gump. I ran till I couldn't breathe anymore.
Right.
And it just,
Dang,
so
bro.
the key to parenting, I feel like, is getting the blood flowing. Because you're stagnant, you know?
The key to parenting is getting your blood flowing.
It is, because you're just so stagnant, and I got to be around. I can't go do this. I can't work out. I can't go be with my friends. You're just, when you're a new parent, you're just that helicopter parent around that kid. That a lot of times you don't feel like you need to do things for yourself, but you know, the key for me was just to keep my blood flowing, whether it be go run a mile, do some push-ups, just to energize myself. Because if you're not sleeping in the night and you're not used to it, it'll kill you.
I'll tell you what, speaking of first kids,
How was your experience, man?
mine's is different. Depending on what point in your life you have your first child, you know, that has a lot to do with the lessons that you take from it, the growth.
No doubt.
Now, when I had my first daughter, Alex, when I had Alex, it was crazy because at that time in my life, I wasn't mature.
Okay.
I wanted to be mature. You know, I wanted to come into, you know, being a good dad, but I definitely wasn't there by any shape of the word. And I had that realization how far I was, and it happened to be with a crying incident. So I was watching Alex, and my mom probably was partying or something. She was crying. I changed the diaper, and I did the feeding, and I did the burp. And she
Check
was
everything
crying.
you're supposed to check.
And I
You
put
did
her on my
everything you're
chest,
supposed to
and
do.
She was crying. I mean, this was hours of crying and
Oh, yeah.
crying. And I felt like
Wow.
I was getting angry with this baby to the point where I wanted to shake her. Like, I picked her up. I was like, why are you crying?
People have done this.
Listen,
they won't tell you,
this is
but
a true
people have
story.
done
I'm
this.
like, why are you? This is like, why are you crying? And I could see the anger, and I was like, I had to put Alex down in the bed, and I closed the door, and I walked out. I cried a little bit, like, cause I didn't know what I was 18. I don't know, like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to take care of this life. You know, I just feel me frustrated, and I let her cry, and then I cried, and I said, you know what? You open the door, and you're just gonna keep trying things, and keep trying things until you go to sleep or she goes to sleep.
Every
So
child's different.
And I went back to the whole cycle of feeding and burping and rubbing, and somewhere during that cycle, I passed out. She passed out, and that was my kind of introduction into, like, there is something that you want to become, but you're so far away from it. But you can start looking at yourself right now and saying, okay, what changes do I need to make to be that type of parent that Alex needs? And it changed my life. You know what I'm saying?
Man, that's amazing, bro. Like, first, let me commend you both for getting this far as a daddy, man. People don't do it. People don't do it enough.
Okay.
Like, listen. Let's talk about this real quick, because this is something I went through as a first-time parent. I'm gonna come from a little bit of a different angle than both of y'all came from different angles, but I'm coming from a whole nother side here. Attention towards the mother is very great. You know, it should be. A woman is pregnant. She's going through something that we could never in a million years understand. However, there's something we go through that women could never understand in a million years. While that baby is pulling all that nutrients and shifting rib cages and rearranging organs to make way for what's growing, we're here, our spirit, our knowledge, our soul, all of these things are being pulled to go into that baby. How do you think a baby can be just like a father they never met? You understand what I'm saying? This goes beyond genetics. A lot of the things that are in you, why are you so tired? Why are you so fatigued? Why are you so sleepy? You know why? Because you are preparing for that child as well.
Right.
So while I was going through changes, you know, first child on the way, I was 20. I was young, man. I didn't know too much. My dad died 2 years ago, which was my leadership. So I didn't have anybody to be like, hey, you know, should I do this? All I knew is I need to try to put some money in an account so I can try to pay for what I need to do.
Right.
So
Simple.
what got me, it's simple. That's how we operate,
This
right?
would be simple.
You got to
right.
breathe. And
I
move
was
forward.
not prepared. What? Boy, look here. I was not prepared, though, for what was going to happen with my emotions. So to new fathers, I would want to help them start building up their emotional strength, because if you can't see your child, let's just say you're in a situation like we were, not married.
Yep.
This is a very serious thing. You have to create a set of rules that work in 2 different households, 2 different structures, 2 different ideologies.
I was married.
Oh, you were married? Oh, yeah, I forgot. But were y'all living together? Yeah. Okay, y'all already, okay, well, that's a whole other situation there. All right, well, I'm going to say me then. So in my situation, bro, while all this was going down, I'm still thinking about all this weird stuff like, is my son going to like me? You know, so people don't talk about how we feel, you know, but we think, is my son going to whine? There's a lot of things a lot of fellas think about when their son's on the way. Sons particularly, is he going to be gay? Is he going to be strong? Is he going to be a punk? Will I have to slap him up? Will I have to...
You know, that's a whole nother, that's a whole nother
No, but I'm just
situation.
saying, I'm telling you about the emotional.
Right. Get
I'm
prepared.
going here because I'm telling you in preparation, as a dad, you thinking about all this. You thinking about, okay, will I make it with the mom? You know, or what's going to happen from here? So my story was all about me getting myself together mentally. And I'm thankful for the time I had to process to be available, because my mental state is what actually has made my son and I's relationship as strong as it is today. Because if we couldn't see each other all the time,
Yep.
I had to fill the gaps. If we got one day out of the next 2 weeks, I'm going to fit 13 hours worth of lessons in this small amount of time.
Exactly. You're molding.
And John, I think what you said is so powerful, and it goes back to what we talked about earlier, kind of what you said. You know, it's no maybe one size fits all, right?
Man,
but
come on now.
But there are these little tricks, taking time, right? You had to take time, I had to take time, you had to take time. So that's a big component, that's a big idea when it comes to parenting. Whether it's taking the time to sit there and think about yourself as a parent. Like, do you actually take time out, whether it's 5 minutes or 10 minutes, you know? You sit down and look at yourself, reflect on yourself as a parent, and not just say, well, yeah, I bought some clothes last week, I did this. How do your kids feel about your parenting? Are you paying attention to the little breadcrumbs that are going to lead you to the houses that they're in? You know what I'm saying? Because it's important to know how you as a parent impact your child, because that defines you as a parent. You're only a good parent if your child thinks so. You can think you're the greatest parent in the world, but if your child doesn't think so, you fail. You drop the ball. Yeah.
Let's go here right quick. I want to explore here right quick. We're all fathers of daughters. What can you say with it? What's the biggest difference between your boy and your girl?
I'll start with that, man. So Maisie was my first, and the first thing I'll tell to all you new parents out there is make sure before you have your kid, if with the wife, do a baby moon. That was so important.
Say again,
a baby moon. A baby moon is you take a little trip before the baby comes, because once the baby's here, you're not going anywhere. You're not doing anything. You know, it's the last time where you're going to have some alone time before that kid gets here.
Right.
And I think that's so important. You go somewhere, just whether it's an hour away or 2 hours away, just go away, get a hotel for a couple days, and go on a baby moon. That helps you just kind of get prepared for it, because once the kid here comes, we know you're not going to do anything. You're not moving, so it's nice. And then also make sure you get your girl or your wife a push present after the baby comes. It's nice to give them a little gift afterwards. It's called a push present because they've come after the fact. And you could, K Jewelers, Modern Jewelers downtown.
Right.
You can go to all these places because that makes them understand that you appreciate them. Because we don't understand what they go through physically. We can only assume emotionally, and so it's just those little things I think are smart. And I had other people tell me that, so I like that. But the biggest thing that I've struggled with as a parent was just how to go about discipline. And I didn't think I had a short temper until I had kids, man. I was a laid back person, travel, hop on a plane, go somewhere, and then all of a sudden it's slow down. I'm a homebody now, and the hardest thing that I've felt like is, like you said, you want to shake the kid or spank. And my wife, Lucia...
Sometimes you got to spank them for real.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's me and my wife talked about. Lucia doesn't want spanking, so
sometimes
I've agreed not to do that. And I find myself wanting to, and it's very hard sometimes to want to do that stuff. But in regards to the thing you said, the difference between girls and boys, girls are a little, more delicate, and I think that might just be mentally. You know, y'all feel like that?
Let me hop in right there where you at, because I think perfect spot for me to dive in.
Oh yeah.
I think that's for me now, and I'm not the expert. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like
none of us are.
We don't have degrees.
I feel like I found a lot of success
We got
in
experience.
parenting and being an educator. For 6+ years, and then working with kids another 10 years. 16 years working with kids with problems. I think I got a good bit of experience that side. But I would say the biggest difference between the boys and the girls is that discipline.
Yep.
I don't really feel like I've ever had the need to spank my girls. You know what I'm saying? I don't even think that if I ever spanked them, it would have produced a better result. Because for me to yell at one of my daughters would touch their spirit in such a way the belt couldn't even get that deep. You know what I'm saying? Flip that for the boys. I don't think I could have survived raising my boys without the belt.
Agree.
Because their little touch their spirit don't always.
And Jack's only 2, so I
resonate with the boys.
Oh, yeah.
The boys sometimes you gotta just touch them.
Ty, I hate to say it, Ty, but you're gonna have to get him, Ty. I hate to tell you that, Ty, but it's gonna be a time, Ty, where you might have to get him. Yeah, man. But we'll leave that.
I know in that regards, you're right. Like when you're dealing with daughters, you have to be so careful.
Man.
I think more careful than the boys. And I'm not trying to say treat the boys like
From an emotional standpoint.
No,
exactly.
From that emotional
standpoint, and also from a leadership standpoint.
Right.
Because you're setting their trajectory. You know what I'm saying? Like the way
Is this okay if somebody hits me?
Yeah, the way you treat their mom, especially if you're not together anymore. The situation I'm in, me and the mom not together, I have to be very mindful how I talk about their mom, and I always am. Like what's on my heart usually doesn't come out. It's got to be cerebral. It's got to be from the head, because you're dealing with their emotions, and the worst thing to deal with somebody's emotions is when you're emotional. You know what I'm saying? Like,
come on now. That comes back to y'all's thing. Take time, run, push up.
Got to keep the blood flowing.
Do something to keep you from overreacting, because as a man, we do have a trigger.
Count to 10. Count to 10 and think it through.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
You got to say something, right?
No, just the count to 10 thing. When I find myself in a situation that I don't feel like I can handle, I just you take 10 seconds and just regroup and think about long term. How's this going to play out? Is this the right answer? And most of the time, you change your course of thought. I mean, and that's just in life in general. Before you make knee-jerking reactions, take 10 seconds, think it through, sleep on it. I think as men, we're just so quick to jump the gun on things that if we could approach things differently, there would have been a different outcome with it completely.
And Ty, I would say that single-handedly, that is the most important thing you can do as a parent. Right. Is to take your time for your response. Because my mom always says 2 things you can't take back: bullets and words. You know what I'm saying? Well, back then it was arrows and words. Now bullets, arrows, and words. Cash apps, but
Bitcoin.
It's take that cash app.
There's a lot of things now, but but it's true though. Once you put it out there, you can't bring it back.
Right.
No matter the sorries won't erase it, the gifts won't lessen it. Once you put it out there, there's no retreat. So you gotta
words are permanent.
Man, you gotta take your time.
And I struggle with that. I mean, me and my wife talk about that all the time. I think I say things all the time without necessarily meaning it, but when you say to somebody, it has meaning very much so. They're set in stone.
Man, you never lied.
Exactly.
I like where y'all going with that, man. And I also want to say, for younger, I guess this doesn't just go to younger parents, but I want to let people know that we're available. We decided to really start making a change, not just as fathers, but as men. So it's like, if you're going through something, you just need somebody to talk to. Not sure if you're being a good dad. Do you need some advice? Do you need some help? Do you need a push? Are you at the point of breaking down? Is the relationship with your kids distant? We have a lot of input on how we can help you. We're going to be dropping videos. We're going to be doing dadding for dummies. Not calling y'all dumb, but we've been dumb to a lot of things before. That's how it goes.
We learn together.
Dadding for dummies. Yeah. We learning together. I like that.
Learning together.
Ty, it's been dope.
Yeah, I appreciate y'all.
We're going to come back, man, and give them a session 2 real soon.
We'll get a new father on there. My brother, just like I mentioned, just had his little son Sawyer last week. So you call him, and they're figuring all that stuff. Oh yeah, I'm excited.